Several days ago, a man in his 50s, for reasons that are still not clear, stabbed 5 people outside a school in Dublin, Ireland, including 3 children. Then almost immediately after, parts of that city erupted into rioting. What exactly is going on here? Well, the Washington Post stepped in, helpfully, to explain. Here's the tweet the Washington Post sent out. Quote, "Online rumors claimed the perpetrator of a stabbing attack was an immigrant. The BBC found that the man was an Irish citizen who had lived in the country for 20 years. Police blamed, quote, a lunatic faction driven by far-right ideology for the riot in Dublin." That was the Washington Post's explanation. But actually, the man was an immigrant. He was from Algeria, and as it turns out, he's been living in Ireland for 23 years at public expense. He has never had a job. And then last week, unaccountably, he stabbed children. Well, many people in Ireland are absolutely sick of this. It's happening by design. That country has been completely transformed by immigration. It's not the Ireland you remember at all. And going forward, anyone who complains about that or questions government policy will be guilty of a felony. New hate speech laws are coming to Ireland. No complaining about it. And of course, it's not just Ireland, it's across the West. What does this mean? What is happening here, and what's the right response to it?
Ireland's probably one of the worst, if not the worst, because the political class has totally sold out the people. You know, they've had, I think, 125,000 immigrants in the last year. That is the same equivalent if all of Joe Biden's 9 million illegal alien invaders here in our country all came within 1 year. That's the impact it's had on Ireland. And they're all on the public dole. There's been 100,000 Ukrainians in the 18 months or 20 months since the war started. 100,000 Ukrainians all on the public dole, all paid for out of the Irish budget. And you're seeing a natural blowback, and you're really seeing it among working class people in the cities, Irish nationals, Irish citizens, whose family have been there for generations and generations and generations and have nothing to show for it, and also in the rural communities. So Ireland is a powder keg, but you're seeing this is across the West, and it started with a mass immigration in the 60s and 70s, but really been picked up since the Syrian civil war and what the Germans did back in 2014.
So the Irish government is trying to replace the population of Ireland with people from the third world, obviously. But why? What's the justification for that? Ireland was never a colonial power. These are not people they once ruled coming back to the mother country. The same people have lived in Ireland for thousands of years. They have a native population, and they're being replaced.
You talk about the great replacement theory, and people, people get very upset when you talk about it, but you just look at the math. This has happened across Europe. It's happened in Germany. This is why Orban has been so singled out. The Germans and the people in Brussels, the party of Davos, just doesn't think the working class European population is very controllable. They think they're dangerous. They think they're the cause of these world wars in World War I and World War II. So they've always been, they've tried to control them every way possible. Now they're using immigration. And Ireland is one of the worst examples, and that's why it's a powder keg. The entire focus has been going after the population and to try to cow them, to try to say, no, if you stand up to this, you stand up to the political class, if you have an opinion, right, which you should have a free speech, but if you have an opinion, that's going to be hate speech, and that hate speech law has many years in prison associated with it. So they have cracked down not on immigration crime, not on the homelessness situation, the lawlessness, the breakdown of law and order. They have focused on the Irish people. And you see, look at Argentina. Argentina is the example of what's going to happen here in the United States, and yet we're letting in 10 to 15 million new additional illegal alien invaders. The scale of this is incredible. On D-Day in 1944, there was 150,000 men that hit the beach that day, right? And that's looked at as the biggest military movement in American history, 150,000 men. We have almost 2 times that every month coming across the border. We have equivalent of 35 combat divisions. combat division being about 10,000 men. They have created a system, and they gamed an entire asylum system, which was set up to prevent this. That you just because of economic necessity are wanting a better life, which are wonderful things. And I don't blame the people coming up. If I was down in that situation, I would too, but that's not what our asylum system and immigration system was supposed to do. They purposely went and gamed that system, not just to make it easy as possible, but then to fully finance it. And if you look at the situation we are economically, Tucker, we passed $33 trillion of debt on 18th September, on the morning of the 18th of September. Right now, we're basically 60 days away from that. We're at $33.8 trillion. We will pass $34 trillion, I estimate, on the 28th of December. 100 days after hitting 33, we'll pass $34 trillion. We are beyond broke. We are technically at bankruptcy right now. And we're doing this all in foreign money and just fiat currency that is created.
At some point, again, you just worry about unrest because they've kind of kept the lid on this by, threatening to arrest people, I suppose, but mostly by calling them white supremacists or anti-Semites or whatever. At a certain point, people are going to say, well, I'm actually not those things at all, and you're not going to intimidate me anymore, and you're wrecking my country, and you're attacking me for being white, and why would I put up with that? And they're going to get radical. Like, why would that not happen?
When people look at it, they say, hey, I'm not a bad person, and I'm not asking for something that's terribly aggressive. I just want my community to be my community. I don't want to be flooded with illegal aliens that are taking jobs, causing crime, adding to homelessness, and quite frankly, we can't pay for them. We can't pay for their education. We can't pay for their health care. We can't pay for their housing. We can't pay for the stipend and the phones. We can't do it. And people look and say, hey, they're calling me a fascist every day. They're calling Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump and Steve Bannon and many, many others leaders of a fascist movement. Well, I don't feel like a fascist. I feel like it's common sense. I think that's the power of your speech the other day. You said, hey, just look around. Just trust your gut. Just look around and see. Something feels very wrong. Still, you get demonized if you even bring it up. And this is what you're seeing in Ireland. I think the tension among working class people, when nobody represents them, nobody can talk about it, and even people like Conor McGregor that come out are immediately prosecuted or investigated at least for hate speech. And this is just about the situation of the problem. Think about the solution. I keep telling people, hey, think downrange to 2025. If we're able to win and closing that win, think of the issues we have to deal with, not just in the budget, but with the deportations. I mean, we have 9 million or 8 or 9 million here today just on Biden's watch. Center for Immigration Studies says we're going to have another 6 million by the time we get to the election next year. That's 14 or 15 million. I think illegal alien invaders are coming because they've gamed the asylum system. My belief is those people have to go home. They have to be returned. They have to leave our country, or we're not going to have a country. I don't think it's working. I think you're seeing that in the polling numbers. I also think you're seeing it in just culture. There's a change of people coming to our side, say, yes, we should put America first, and it's importantly we should put American citizens first. And I think that's the big tectonic plate shift we're seeing. But man, it's going to be quite a fight for the next, 5 or 10 years. It's going to take that long to work through this.